Well, welcome back, FloGrappling fans. It's another episode of A Fistful of Collars, your favorite jiu-jitsu podcast. Once again, Howell Teague, Chase Smith, back with us after a very long
in the flesh
break.
I've returned. very, very happy to be here.
And Reed Connell over on the end of the table there as well. The three amigos. Man, we can't seem to get all four of us around the same table, huh? So Will is off and around taking care of some personal stuff today, but we were away last week, which is why there was no FloGrappling podcast. Chase,
I was gonna do my one man show, but got pulled last minute. So
Reed's late night show.
I would have liked to see that. Yeah, black turtleneck. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, you could maybe chat to AJ Agazam about that. I believe that he has one.
He's got an extra one for me. All right, perfect.
Very the whole deal.
Hooray.
But
yeah,
it's a shame that we've all been bouncing around, but there's been some pretty cool stuff come from the various trips and tours that we've been on recently. Will and I were obviously away last week. We were in Japan. Boo-hoo, that was terrible.
Man, I'm surprised you're here, to be honest.
I want to hear about it, man. You got to spend more time, I think, than anybody from Flo has had the opportunity to do in Tokyo. You got to train, see some gyms, and I know it's a different vibe, so let's hear about it.
Very different vibe. Well, let's just, I was there last year for the Grand Slam, but I was in and out. Like, I was there for maybe 3 days total, and like a day and a half of that in total was just me spent dying from the trip, so I didn't really do a lot. You were there 2 years ago, right?
Same thing, in and out, and I actually spent 3 days of that. Where was I? Not Saitama. It was really far, though. People in Tokyo had no idea where I was going, which should have been my first clue that I was bad situation. And so it was very different. It ended up being cool, but yeah, I didn't see a lot of Tokyo, in and out, and serious jet lag throughout that time.
Yeah, because Tokyo is huge. Like, I don't think people appreciate exactly how big it is. It's like, like Manhattan in New York, right?
Heard of it.
Imagine that. Imagine that times about 10,000. And it's just huge.
Wow.
It is just incredible. It's so dense, but I mean, amazing. Like, so functional, and it's clean, and everything works really well. But it's just huge. So this time we arrived on like Tuesday afternoon, and we left on Monday morning. And it was amazing because we got to hit up a couple of local gyms. Carpe Diem is probably one of the best known in Tokyo. They've got really great branding, and they've obviously got a bunch of really well-known athletes who train there as well, like Tomoyuki Hashimoto, who's the PANS champion this year. I think he took bronze at Worlds 2 years in a row. Iwasaki, who of course has been doing amazing things this year, like just real, making a name for himself on the international scene.
Got Thomas Meats over there as well.
Thomas Meats, the French guy who's black belt as well. And then a bunch of other purple belts and brown belts coming through, like Haisim, who made a lot of noise at the recent Quintet, and everybody's talking about him.
You got a little interview with him there. That was awesome to see, because nobody knew anything about him.
So did I? I'll be honest, did I?
So. On my trip, he actually, I got to visit Carpe Diem one night, and it wasn't even the main gym. I think they have 3 facilities throughout Tokyo, and he taught the class when I was there. He was still a purple belt, and he led the way. Someone introduced me, and he was like, "This kid's a killer," and he's definitely gone on to do big things. Still as a brown belt, so
still as a brown belt, yeah. So just putting it in perspective, like Carpe Diem, it's run by a guy called Yuki Ishikawa, and he is a black belt. He's in his 40s, and it's really interesting because I interviewed him, and he's kind of like, "Man, I'm a nobody." There's like, he's like, "I'm not Marcelo Garcia, I'm not Renzo Gracie. Like, my job is to create an environment for all these guys to training, and to reach their potential." And that's exactly what he's done. And it's interesting as well, because a lot of those guys who are training at his gym, or gyms I should say, because there are multiple throughout Asia now as well, most of them originally came from other teams. And he was even kind of saying like, well, I kind of got a little bit of a bad reputation about it because people think I steal athletes from elsewhere. And he's like, I honestly don't. They come to me. Because I think it's like a lot of us see, like the case of Atos, right? Like a lot of guys will migrate to it to like in search of the best training. I think a lot of guys have been doing that there too.
Especially in Asia, right, where it's a little bit more traditional martial arts and things like that. So that influence, I think, influences jiu-jitsu a lot. So I think it's a little bit more taboo to switch teams in Asia, maybe.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, man. I like, especially when you fuse that Brazilian culture, which is again very, loyalty based, with the traditional Asian aspects of it as well. So. But anyway,
spicy,
yeah. But going back to it, I mean, the gym itself is beautiful. We only visited the one location because that's where all the visitors were kind of congregated in for the training sessions, and there were guys like Gutenberg Pereira was there, Claudia Doval was there. You had guys like Samantha Cook and Bradley Hill from the UK were there. So it was pretty cool as well because, you know, lots of guys who were in town for the tournament were getting together to train. So that was fun.
It seems like Japanese jiu-jitsu is really breaking down a lot of doors lately. I mean, like we mentioned Hashimoto there, making the gold medal at Pans and things. There's a lot of athletes coming out of Japan these days.
Is it how do you say her name?
Rikako Yuasa.
Yeah, she's
that's
3
right.
or 4-time champion.
4-time, yeah. Met her too. Yeah, she was at Triforce. We went to Yuki Nakai. Now, Yuki Nakai is amazing because he's the first Japanese guy to get a black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, right? It's kind of weird, isn't it, how he went like full circle.
And if you haven't seen the movie Choke, he's kind of like the cult hero, definitely my hero. Dude just has a crazy performance. It's an MMA show where Hickson Gracie is. It's all about
what
Hickson.
Was that, 1995, 96?
6, I want to say.
Yeah. Right
It's just a legendary movie. It's on YouTube. You guys got to check it out. It's amazing if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, man, you know what was funny about, because his gym is tiny, right? You can go and watch it on the Tokyo vlogs. It's not a big room at all. It reminds me a lot of gyms in Brazil, actually, because it's like bare bones, shall we say, right? Basement, tiny little room, like one toilet, excuse me. And we get there and there's an open mat running on the Friday afternoon, and there's just guys coming in and out the whole time, but Yuki's not there. And just as things are winding down, a bunch of kids turn up because it's going to be the kids class soon, and in he comes. And everybody's like, oh, look, it's Yuki Nakai, right? Because we're all like, great, let's go run over and take a photo. And he comes in and he starts playing with the kids and stuff, and then he just starts shadow boxing right in the middle of the room. Like, everybody's rolling and stuff, and he's just like, throwing some punches. Not like that. Much better, of course.
Definitely not like that.
Ronda Rousey over here, shadowboxing. But no, he just starts like straight up like kickboxing, like in the middle of the room by himself. And
Sweet.
Apparently, like a couple of days before, Jake McKenzie, the Canadian black belt from GF Team, he had trained there as well. And he was telling me that because it's such a small space, they do that thing where people will walk around the middle of the mat and they'll stand in between pairs so they don't collide into each other, right? Or they even hold like a piece of mat. Well, apparently Yuki was doing that and shadowboxing at the same time. So
double task.
Staying loose.
It's a thing.
Getting some moves in.
Yeah.
I like it.
But it was great, man. It was really cool to see some of the kind of different training facilities there and the styles of training. But I was really impressed with the level of jiu-jitsu in general. There was some good black belts coming through. And the colored belts as well actually really impressed me.
Yeah, we were just talking about Andy Murasaki and
Igor.
Igor, sorry. Yeah.
Igor Tanabe.
Yeah, sorry.
Who both won gold at the Grand Slam there in Tokyo as well. So cool. Igor was world champion this year.
Yeah,
right?
Igor at a very tough medium heavy division, right? That was like the purple belt medium heavy division was like one of the toughest, and Igor came out on top. His first year at adult as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Beast.
Turned 18 in May, I believe he told me. Interesting case actually, because he was born in Brazil. As many of these guys were, like Murasaki, Igor Tanabe, they were born in Brazil, but they moved back to Japan because their families are Japanese at like 2 or 3 years of age. Gotcha. So they've never really lived in Brazil. So even though they are like Brazilian Japanese, Japanese Brazilian, they speak fluent Japanese because they grew up there, studied there. They speak fluent Portuguese because they, obviously at home with their families. And like Andy and Igor as well speak fluent English as well.
Oh, that's a shame over here.
I know.
Right.
How's your Japanese? How's your Japanese coming?
Not great. But I mean, these kids are 17, 18 years of age. They're fluent at 3 languages and they're world-class jiu-jitsu guys.
Yeah.
That's badass,
That's
right?
super awesome. They're pros already. I mean, their whole career, they can go around. It's fantastic for them.
Just a great example of how worldwide jiu-jitsu is these days. That we talk a lot about Norway and Europe and stuff like that, but man, Japan and South Korea and a lot of these other Asian countries are nipping at the heels, so it's cool.
I don't know about you guys, but I feel like Brazil is pretty well shown. We know what the scene is like in Brazil, right? Same goes for Europe, because I guess, it's a lot more easier a lot of the times to kind of follow people in Europe on social media. And of course, now you guys have been there a bunch of times and you've seen what the scene there is like. But for me, and probably for you guys as well, I always felt that I never really knew too much about the scene in Japan.
Sure.
Right?
Still don't.
But Still don't.
Yeah. It has a very magical feel to it when you go over there. You can't help but be taken in by being in such a foreign environment, everything's so new and kind of confusing but awesome. And
I feel like I got a glimpse of it now. I feel like I got a taste of it. Last time I didn't see or do anything, and then I feel like I've seen a little bit of it now, and I got to say, it's just whet my appetite. I want more. And I was really impressed, like I say, with the colored belts, watching the action at the Grand Slam and being in the gym and seeing what these kids are capable of. Blue belts and purple belts, teenagers going head to head with black belts who were competing in the adult divisions. I was watching the training sessions and I was thinking to myself, shit, in 4 or 5 years, these kids, like, if they could manage to, you know, kind of maintain the professional side and get the resources to travel and to compete like kids like Murasaki and Tanabe have done, they could be world-class guys. They could
100%.
be, yeah, they could
They're
be
right
doing
there.
things on the black belt level in a few years. But I guess that's the thing, right? Like, how many kids out there don't have the opportunity to show what they've got, right?
Hopefully the world's getting a little smaller. Events are traveling more. There's more opportunity in Asia to do stuff, and I'm sure we'll see more stars. You know, Japan's got such a great grappling culture. Not only do they have jiu-jitsu and judo, obviously, but very strong wrestling background as well. So, you know, we
It's
might
in the
see
school system.
Exactly. So we
Yeah.
might see some of the best, well-rounded jiu-jitsu athletes in the next 3 or 4 years coming out of Japan that have complete games. You know, maybe other places like Europe don't have a strong wrestling culture. Maybe not as much judo, except for maybe France and then like Germany and Belgium or something. But I had a great time recently in Europe. So I
you were
was
there,
in
right?
Amsterdam.
Tell us about that.
The other
then,
side.
because,
The other side,
Yeah, we were one part of the world. Reed was over here. You were right in the middle somewhere. So
Over here.
He was in Texas.
He was in Texas doing Texas stuff. So Amsterdam was super cool. I was there for one of the only times I've traveled for not an event, for what we call a content trip here at Flo, where I go to some place and I think, man, I'm gonna get some great video, see some really cool stuff happening. And specifically, I was at Royal Jiu-Jitsu Camp. It was an initiative kind of done by Jackson Souza and some guys at Checkmat to bring in the best athletes in Europe to one place to sort of give a boost to the local scene. Checkmat Amsterdam, as I found out, some really tough local guys. I got to roll and train with them as well. They're very competitive and they travel to Europeans. And so for them, it's a great treat to bring in some of the other best athletes. They had Max Lindblad, they had Adam Wardzinski, Pedro Romulo from Portugal, ton more. And,
man, so you've got Sweden, Poland, Portugal.
we had UK, Joanna. Oh, I'm gonna butcher her last name. She's Polish, so I'm sorry, Joanna, but she's a Roger Gracie black belt. And yeah, Bradley Hill. We had Darrell O'Connell. I didn't even get to see everything because it was 7 days long. And as much as I'd love to spend 9 days in Amsterdam, it wasn't quite gonna happen with the work schedule. But it was mind blowing. Plus, they had the bonus last minute additions of Nicholas Meregali and Lucas Leitch. So
Ooh, nice.
it was a pretty awesome trip, and
That's a lot of talent in one room.
Crazy.
and it
Right.
was not a vacation. Let me tell you, these guys were in there. All the athletes, all the coaches, they could have taught and gone home. They were learning from each other. They were there training 3 to 4 times a day at each session, and most of the most of the students there were training a minimum of twice a day. That's kind of how they bookended the classes. But some were even going 3 times a day. So Bradley Hill used it to get ready for the Tokyo Grand Slam. In fact, he was telling me that this was a real training camp for him. He was there not just to hang out, and he ended up placing second.
He
at
did,
Tokyo
yeah.
Grand Slam.
And he looked really
So
good.
it worked.
So it worked.
Yeah, I mean, he went to the Grand Slam and he met DJ Jackson in the final. So going head to
tough
head
out.
with DJ is always going to be a tough, tough match. But he looked great on
Absolutely.
going through to that. And actually, I've met Bradley a bunch of times, on the circuit. But I got to watch him train a couple of times, so in different gyms. And man, I gotta say, Bradley's jiu-jitsu really impressed me. That guy's got a really beautiful game. And one of the coolest things I saw him do was in stand-up with with a very, very tough kid, actually, a blue belt, who had been murdering some people up until that point. And this kid only had one speed, right? One of those kids, And man, Bradley set up his grips standing, sat down to guard, and pulled directly into an omoplata
Nice.
in one movement.
Nice.
And me and Will were sat next to each other, and we were literally like, ooh, that was
Nice.
good. Yeah. Anyway, you were saying, sorry, the training.
No, so
Meregali.
it was awesome, and we're getting there. But one thing I wanted to point out was that it was probably my first time going to a camp where I wasn't traveling to multiple places and just spent 5 days straight training 4 hours a day, learning from multiple guys, and just the amount of knowledge that was distilled throughout that time was just really incredible, actually. And so
You feel like you
I
improved?
feel like I learned a lot, but then I went on a surf trip a week later and forgot everything. I didn't get to test any of it out. But I think a personal highlight was training with Nicholas Meregali. So everyone wants to know what Maragolla's doing.
Not just training in the same room as, but
I got to roll with him.
Oh.
So he walked in. He had been doing a seminar tour separate from Royal Camp, and so he came in the last weekend, and it was during a class, and he was kind of very humble on the sidelines. Is it okay if I join the class? And it was like, yes, yeah, please.
Who do you think you
please
are?
come in. And no one was too eager to jump in and roll with him first. They wanted to see exactly what his speed was.
Well, let's be fair. Like, he is a world champion black belt,
Right.
and has beat some of literally the best names in the world at that point. Beaten Leandro Lo, beaten Felipe Panna. Yeah,
he's kind of known for being pretty intense.
He looks very intense, and so I said I'll do it. And
you had the honors of the first
I had
roll.
the honors, and he was
Nice.
very playful, very chill. Also, just incredibly fast. Like, he's 6 feet tall, but moves so nimbly and quickly.
He's 6 feet and the rest.
Yeah,
he's a
big
big guy.
Yeah, he might be like 6'2". I don't even know, but
Yeah.
he's he doesn't feel it at all when he doesn't want to. You know what I mean? He's very just incredible to see in motion. So we had a fun roll.
What kind of game was he playing?
He was letting me play guard. He wanted to pass. I think he wanted to warm up a little bit. So he was doing really loose Toriano style passing, some leg drag stuff, and he's so good at just, I don't know, like pump faking, throwing feints. He
does that a lot. He does switch side to side a lot with his Torianda passing.
Yeah,
right?
it is these really quick half steps where he really looks like he's overcommitting, but is so fast to the other side.
Wow.
And he's also doing some cool loop choke stuff, and just doing whatever he wanted to me. But it was a lot of fun just to feel that level of skill. And he was actually extremely nice and chill. His competition face is way different than what he's like in the gym.
Man, I've said this a lot. That there's the Meregali that you see at the tournaments, and then there's the actual real day-to-day Nicholas Meregali, who is a totally different guy.
Sure.
I mean, like, there are some people that at tournaments, I don't know about you guys, but there are some guys that I have good relationships with, but on tournament day, I don't go near them. Like, I give them all the space that they need. Some guys, I'll see them in the bullpen, and we'll be, hey, what's up, man? How's it going, lad? What you been up to? We'll chat, right? And that's fine. But then there are other guys, and they got their headphones in, their hoodie up, and I'm just like, you do what you need to do, man. I'm like,
Maybe you and Meregali are cool now. So next time he's warming up in the bullpen, go over there and
Yeah.
like, hey, what's up, dude? Next time.
Give him a little push.
Yeah.
I don't think so. But I did mention that to people at the camp, though, because I'd seen Bradley Hill around a few times at events, but I was like, man, when it's competition time, I'm probably not introducing myself to a lot of people because they're in their zone.
It's not the right time.
It's not the right time.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not socializing. Maybe I'll do a quick pickup interview when it looks right, but these camps are a great time to meet people and actually say, hey, what's up? I've seen you everywhere.
The Meregali you met at the camp compared to the Meregali we've seen,
very cool.
At the tournament, totally different?
Totally different. I was surprised that he speaks basically perfect English. His instructions were extremely clear. We just put out a lot of technique on FloGrappling.
Yeah, you did.
From the famed De La Riva X guard that he plays really well. We even have like the sweep that he used on Leandro to win the world championship. He showed the details there. So
let's make that clear, actually, that this camp wasn't just you going on vacation, like you said. It was a content trip, so you were there and you filmed like every single day, and those techniques are now all on FloGrappling. So.
Yeah, and I think the favorite part was that I was able to do what I call a masterclass for most of these guys. We have Adam Warzinski's butterfly guard in the gi masterclass, and it's him showing his details, tweaks, fielding questions from people trying to learn the technique, which is probably one of the more valuable parts of going to a seminar, is having someone go over the mistakes. Anyone can watch a video and you miss details, or they just ignore mistakes because they don't make them. And so having him point out and correct people is extremely valuable. So we have
Adam very well known for his butterfly guard
exactly.
too. So.
Yeah.
And
so everybody was showing areas of their speciality as well, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
'Cause I
Max
saw-
Lindblad's spider guard, and I
Right.
think maybe my personal favorite, because Reed has tried to do it to me a few times. He's never finished it, but
Dude, I was hitting it on Tuesday night. I was hitting this.
we're talking about the Tarako Plata.
Tarako
Hofstock
Plata.
is an athlete out of Norway, out of Frontline there. Super cool guy, and he's developed, as he admits, with the help of his teammates and other people around him, but it's been coined the Tarako Plata, and it's sort of a variation of a Kimura / monoplata sort of finish. It's a shoulder separation, And it looks just crazy. If you don't really know what's happening or you don't see an instructional on it, you're not really sure how he's managing to keep the position tight and actually finish it.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I mean, I've seen him do it a bunch in tournaments. How many guys did he tap out with it at Europeans?
Yeah,
you know?
Europeans. He like even if he didn't tap him out, like he got to that position in like every one of his matches.
But it was some voodoo shit. Like because I was watching it and I was like.
It looks like the arm should just be able to move to escape, but it's extremely
so tight.
It's extremely tight.
Yeah.
And
so do you get it now?
Yeah,
I do get it.
Did he do it on you?
He didn't do it to me.
Okay.
Actually, we did roll, and I don't think he got me with it. He got me with a million other things, but I don't think he did it. I can't remember.
Yeah,
but
he's not a one-trick wonder. He's got good jiu-jitsu.
He does. He's got some great footlocks. I have actually a no-gi footlock seminar with him. That's another 15-minute video, and what's amazing about that one is it's all about straight ankle locks, but he's developed a position to where he sort of puts the foot at an angle that finishes with a twisting motion. Ooh. So it's almost like a toe hold, a steamer lock style finish. It's belly down, so the judges can't. IBJJF legal, and the judges won't even see the fact that the knee is twisting and everything. So it's super dirty, and it's just some of the videos we have.
You better believe I was checking out that Terra Plata video.
It is really funny. You guys have to watch it. And I got back to training. Like I said, I went on a surf trip. I forgot everything. But I did come back this week, and I almost hit one. I definitely have to
Terra Plata?
Almost hit one.
Oh, hell yeah.
I was this close. Because it's from the north-south. The video starts from the north-south position, and you're setting up the Kimura, which is really natural. That's a go-to for me, and I think almost anyone.
Yeah.
And that's where that position starts.
It's incredible, actually. Our training page now. If you go to FloGrappling.com and you go to the navigation bar at the top, and you've got the training tab, the amount of good info on there is just wow. I mean, I'm looking at
growing
it now.
daily too.
The stuff that you put up, the Tarek stuff, the stuff with Adam. You got the Lucas Leitch half guard masterclass, Max Lindblad, Pedro Ramalho, Tarek Hopstock, Nicholas Meregali, and then at the same time, while you were doing all that, the Will was in Ibiza with guys like Bushesha, Hodolfo, and Felipe Panna.
Let's not forget those videos. Those are pretty clutch.
Some very, very good videos there too. So to be fair, there is a hell of a lot of good technique on there now.
For those of you that haven't been there, it's at the top navigation of the site. There's a training tab, and every video on there is either a technique video or an extended rolling session with high-level athletes. It's something that we're working on bringing more and more content there. So Royal was a success. I want to give a big thanks to the guys at Checkmat Amsterdam. They really facilitated the whole process, invited me around the town. We had a great time watching World Cup with all the athletes at the end of the seminar, and it was just an amazing experience. So if you're in Amsterdam, check those guys out. You'll like it and probably get tapped a lot. So.
It's from the guard that Tarek sets up the Tarek.
So he showed that too.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I definitely don't know how that one works.
Yeah,
that one's.
Because like if it was set up from side control, I'd probably get it a little bit better,
The north-south.
The north-south's how he shows it for the new people. But then he did show some variations from guard, and another aspect of it that was interesting is that you do open yourself up from the north-south setup to being swept. The guy can sort of roll you over on your back, but he shows you how you just sort of roll through the position. You continue the motion and kind of just seesaw your way back to on top. You have to finish on top. That's the trick. But anyways, a lot of really good videos. I had a great time making them, and it was just a great experience. So
hell yeah,
awesome.
Go do that.
So while you were talking about techniques and stuff, kind of a little bit different because we're focusing always on jiu-jitsu and grappling here, but a lot of wrestling talk on FloGrappling in the last couple of days.
This week,
starting off with your vlog, Reed.
Yeah, just dropped a vlog. Go on to the YouTube channel and check it out. Did a lot of cool wrestling with Mike Mao, who works for FloWrestling. You know, we have such a great resource here with grappling that we have a sister site, all those wrestling guys right next to us. So every so often, Chase and I, we go out with Mike on Wednesday afternoons and wrestle with him. And then now he's teaching wrestling classes at Paragon where we both train. So I decided to make a little movie with him and try to pick his brain about wrestling and see how we can inject some more wrestling into jiu-jitsu, because I do think that it's an integral part of jiu-jitsu, and I think the more wrestling there is in jiu-jitsu, I think the more exciting it is.
You got some cauliflower coming in too. You see?
Do I?
I do see it. Yeah, it's looking pretty full at the moment.
Yeah.
You shoot on that side by any chance?
But yeah, I think the more we can wrestle, the more we are better at wrestling and things like that.
Well, what do you think about the current state of wrestling in jiu-jitsu? Good or bad?
Probably not as good as it could be, I'll say. And like I said, in the vlog too, I said, I'm not hating on the guard pullers. I'm not, because like I think guard pulling, when appropriate, it makes a lot of sense. Obviously, I want to get things to the ground to do jiu-jitsu just as much as everybody else does. But, when there's points in jiu-jitsu matches, can you imagine a situation where, it's 40 seconds left and you're down by 2 and you're
how many guys we see pull
standing
guard right there?
I
always cringe. I'm like, why you? It's at least another 20 seconds to get a sweep
exactly.
set up.
Yeah, good
and
luck
so
scoring.
If you just had one go-to takedown in your back pocket for that situation, so yeah, maybe you go out there and you pull guard right away, but maybe you get your guard pass, or maybe you get some scramble and you end up getting swept back, and it's 2-0. You need to have something in that, you have 45 seconds left and you guys stand back up to your feet. That's a way you can win the match. It's a way that it's right there for the taking. If you just had a wrestling takedown in your back pocket.
Just one,
you could win that match. So that's what I'm trying to say. That's all I was trying to inject a little bit. That a lot of times, like I said, I do see people pulling guard when strategically it doesn't make sense to pull guard. And so that's why
they just know they don't have it. At the end of the day, it is the best choice for them. But
it's hard work. Let's be honest, man. Wrestling is really tough, right?
Yeah,
and
I hate it's hard. It's super hard and miserable.
And if you don't train it, you're probably thinking, man, I could shoot a double leg right now, and I'm just going to end up in a worse position.
Exactly.
Right? So I kind of get it why people will pull. But my answer to that is, well, train some freaking wrestling, man. It's right there for the taking, right?
So a lot of times it's not, though. I see a lot of schools that don't have a wrestling class. A lot of places don't have a lot of opportunity, and so I don't know. I think you got to go out of your way to demand it at your school sometimes, and to start from standing. I will say one thing that Reed and I have seen everywhere. I'm sure you saw also on your road to Worlds, but over the last 2 years, all the elite schools start from standing. Now maybe they're pulling guard, but they're on the feet to begin with. And one thing Mike Mal talks about in this vlog is how people on the feet, in jiu-jitsu at least, are nervous. And they burn a lot of energy. Even if they're looking for a good guard pull, that hand fighting, the grip fighting in the initial moments of the match might kill them because they don't do enough on the feet.
Well, on the flip side to that, like you mentioned how a lot of the elite schools, they all start from standing. A lot of the recreational schools, man, 2 people stand up and everybody's like, get back down on the ground. Right?
Yeah.
And I get it. Sometimes it's a safety aspect because they're worried about the about the space, and they're worried about 2 guys falling on top of another pair who are training. But I mean, if you're constantly being told don't stand up, you're never going to develop that kind of game, right?
It's true.
It's definitely, and we don't, sometimes we start standing up at our gym and things, but just getting in the habit of just slapping hands and starting on your knees, that's a habit that I think everybody can get into sometimes. And going out to a competition and things starting on your feet, and you're like, wait a second, I got, my good positions kind of start from the knees, and so getting.
So how do you get there?
Getting to those positions, but I'm starting from my feet now, so it's just like.
I mean, it's much harder setting up a guard from an actual guard pull. I slide into a guard pull from my butt or from the knees very easy because they're right there. They're not moving too quickly. But if they have the chance to leap around me because they're on their feet and I got to pull guard, then that's harder. That's much more difficult. So.
Well, I actually think that that effective guard pulling is a skill in itself, and that's something that maybe some guard players have developed, but I think almost again gets forgotten. It just gets, you just pull guard, right? But it's like, no, you want to pull guard, you want to do so in a way that you go directly into an attack, and you're already setting up your grips when the standing phase. So
we're such jiu-jitsu guys. Our discussion of wrestling has evolved into how to pull guard.
Well, it's the standing phase, right? Because I think that's the great thing about jiu-jitsu is that you can use threats of, well, actually in jiu-jitsu you've got the threat of a bunch of stuff, because you've got the threat of throws and takedowns, guard pulling, but also flying submissions. And I actually man, it's funny how you say that you don't have the option to do that at a lot of schools. And I was lucky because way back in the day, when I was a blue-purple belt, I used to train with another guy that we were both kind of the only guys in our team who liked judo and stand-up, right? And we didn't really have that much opportunity to train it, so we just used to do a bit together. And you guys have heard of Dave Camarillo?
Sure.
Yeah, right? Guerrilla Jiu-Jitsu, famous, old school black belt, had a lifelong judo background and then became a black belt in the Health Gracie and stuff, right? Well, Dave Camarillo released a series of DVDs and books and everything. And man, his style of jiu-jitsu was all about standing attacking for takedowns, attacking for throws, and then in that moment when people are kind of defending, boom, jumping up and shooting like a flying armbar, flying triangle, even flying normal platters.
His foot sweep flying triangle combos are so dirty. I've seen like a bunch of them all over the place, and
his highlight videos are incredible, man.
Really awesome.
But it makes you realize what's possible when you have that triple threat attack of, is the guy going to pull guard? Is he going to shoot for a takedown? Is he going to throw me? Or quadruple attack, is he going to throw up a flying submission as well?
And like you said, most gyms, for whatever reason, whether it's safety or whatever, aren't training wrestling. So if you are training wrestling, it's going to automatically give you such an advantage going into the competition.
Which athletes in jiu-jitsu for either submission grappling or in the gi are your favorite wrestlers to watch? I'm not even going to say the best,
Personally?
because the best is very hard to... We've got a lot of debate right now on the grappling channel about who the best is. But who do you guys like watching?
I mean, my favorite stand-up guy in no-gi is probably Gary Tonin, simply because, I mean, he has really, really good wrestling, right?
He does,
He shoots some amazing stuff, but he's also... He just doesn't care if he about mixing it up in standing, because even when the guys flip it on him, like we saw Wagner Holcher or DJ Jackson, they would get at his back and he'd just do like that diving Granby out of it and stuff. And I'm like, yes, that's what I want to see, man. I want to see some cool wrestling. So
yeah, I think a lot of guys are known for like a good single leg or a good takedown, a good double leg or something like that. But Gary is such a creative wrestler. He's a really fun,
he's fun
creative wrestler. Remember that super duck that he hit on at the Studio 540? Like, he's just got some really cool creative wrestling, I think. So
you did a great video of that, right? Because you put John Jones's super duck up against Gary's, who did it better.
Yeah.
Because they happened right within like
it's
a
way
month
back
of
in
each other or
2016
something, right?
when this happened.
Yeah, end of the year.
End of the year.
Who hit it better? That's right. Yeah, because John Jones hit one on Dan Henderson. At Submission Underground.
Way back in
way back in the day.
Cobwebs back there.
Yeah. But who knows? Maybe we'll see John Jones in the grappling match again soon. Hopefully.
Hey, he's talking about it.
He's
wants
talking
to come
about
back, right?
Yeah. So I'm game for it. John, you want to come back? Let's do it.
You got my number. Let's go.
Well, he did. He tweeted at us and he said, "I'm down to tap somebody out." But
I wasn't volunteering myself for the match, but I just want to help arrange things.
Well, the thing is, though, there was no shortage of people stepping up and offering their names for that match.
Everyone wants that match. So.
Number one right there was Dylan Dennis. Dylan's been campaigning
Tom
for
DeBlass wanted it. I think probably AJ.
AJ would take that for sure.
Probably.
I think Gordon wanted to pop at it as well. But I mean, like, it would have to be. I feel it would have to be a good representative of jiu-jitsu. But I would like to see somebody who's got some wrestling chops as well. Because like John is primarily an MMA fighter, stroke wrestler with some, let's be honest, basic but effective jiu-jitsu. And putting him in against, like, let's say a world-class jiu-jitsu destroyer is probably not going to result in the most entertaining of matches. I'd like to see somebody who wrestles with him. And we put out a poll, didn't we, like just yesterday, of who's the best wrestler in jiu-jitsu. And I think that would be a great starting point right there. 12 names. Do you want to pull up the names, Chase? Do you want to go through who we got?
I have the Instagram right now. And I got to say, I don't know if that's going to work out great for John, a lot of these names on there. I mean, maybe there's some extreme size disadvantages. Like Wagner Hosha versus John Jones would be an epic match.
That would be pretty
But that's
epic.
probably like 70 pounds at least given to John Jones. Wagner's definitely one of my favorite wrestlers. In general, one of my favorite jiu-jitsu people because he's just so nasty. I mean, he makes it miserable, and that's a big part of wrestling. But
being miserable,
Being
making your opponent miserable,
but also making yourself miserable. Those guys love that shit. I don't know what it is with the wrestler mentality, but we still have a guy here, Nick V, who likes to cut weight randomly. He hasn't wrestled in over 10 years, and he's like, yeah, I just want to make sure I can still do it. I'm like, why? Why would you need to ever do it again?
I hate that part.
But
That's the worst part, right?
So some names on this list are, we just mentioned Wagner Hosha, we've got Andre Galvao, we have AJ Agazarm, Cobrinha, Lucas Barbosa, so Buchecha, DJ Jackson, the Russian assassin over here, so
Rustam
Gary Tonin, Yuri Samois, JT Torres, and of course, Mr. Gordon Ryan.
That's a pretty solid list right there. So, I mean, man, choosing who has the best wrestling in jiu-jitsu from that list of 12 names is really tough because they all have good wrestling, right? Some of them actually have real wrestling credentials, like AJ and Rustam. They actually have like legit wrestling credentials, whereas the other guys, they're
came
good
up through
wrestlers
jiu-jitsu.
in jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
right? Like Buchecha, I don't think he's ever done a wrestling match in his life. But I mean, like he trained a lot with Jacob Harmon, right? In Church Boys there.
That's true, yeah.
Team Thunder Wrestling. Yuri Samois has got fantastic wrestling. I mean, 2-time ADCC champion. Andre
You can't forget
Galvao.
Andre Galvao, yeah.
I mean, Cobrinha basically beat AJ Agazarm with wrestling in the finals of ADCC last year, and that guy, he's a white belt in wrestling, right? Because like, the guy has never competed in wrestling in his life.
And
either,
Gordon
so.
too. Gordon known as a sub-only guy, but he surprised a lot of people with his wrestling at ADCC.
He
down
took
Pomelo.
a lackluster performance at ADCC trials, or what he would probably consider against Leandro Lowe.
He did take that
Lost.
match on like 15 minutes.
Sure,
notice.
sure. I'm
Yeah,
not
right.
throwing that out against him, but
Leandro
he came
took
back
him
with
down.
a new, I think, and a very improved takedown game.
Yeah.
That's the one thing you have to credit those guys with at Danaher's is that they see a weakness and they just go after that thing. So
Yeah, Gordon's even said actually since that he would like to take on a good wrestler in jiu-jitsu, and he would like to kind of compete in like a hybrid rules. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick, because it's kind of a weird idea, but I don't dislike it. He'd like to have a takedown match with somebody considered to be a good wrestler in the sport of jiu-jitsu.
So
The
not a
rules
wrestler,
are,
or
not a wrestler.
Yeah,
One
okay.
of the other good wrestling guys from grappling. And the rules are that you can use a submission to stop a takedown. Okay, a takedown is considered being on your ass or being on your back on the ground for 3 seconds or more with no submission locked on, or getting somebody's back. First person to 10 takedowns wins. That's a really weird kind of set of rules right there.
I'd
Gordon.
watch it. I'd definitely watch that.
But I'm intrigued to see if you could hit 10 takedowns against any great wrestler in the sport. That would be a wild achievement there. So who would you like to see him go up against from those lists?
From these lists, I mean, I'd like to see Andre Galvao. I think that would be a legendary match for sure. Or Buchecha. Those are my top two picks for Gordon there.
Good
Of course,
one.
he fought Lucas Barbosa once.
And Yuri.
But
he didn't shoot.
A wrestling style match would be interesting.
Well, that's true, yeah.
That's the thing. He didn't shoot in on those guys, right? Because the rules dictate strategy a lot of the time, right? And those were submission-only matches. So, hang on, was the Yuri one? No, but the Lucas Barbosa one, submission-only, fight to win, right?
Yeah. So no wrestling in that match.
No, zero
Yeah.
from Gordon. Like, Gordon pulled guard and then didn't do shit.
That was a couple
for
years
10
ago
minutes,
too,
right?
Yeah.
So
he's improved. For
I
sure.
mean, like, you'd hope so, because that wasn't a great display of going up against one of the other guys on that
Yeah,
list.
I'll
I
say
forgot about that match.
Yeah.
I'll say Gordon versus DJ, because I know DJ's got
He's got the recipe.
untakedownable basically. So we'll see.
He's
if-
never lost to any Danaher guy.
And he's got the Danaher, he's like 10-0 versus Danaher guys or whatever it is, So there's a little rivalry. So I know maybe give up a little weight. I don't know what they're weighing these days, but I like that one, Gordon versus DJ.
That's a crazy match.
It's a crazy match. I'd love to see that. I'd like to see somebody go up in a straight wrestling match against Rustam, because like we've seen what Rustam can do in jiu-jitsu context. ADCC, he's always looked really good, right? He had that slick. What was it you call it? That thing that he kept doing in
slide by.
The slide by, right? Okay, and that was nice, man. But who can go head to head with a guy like Rustam in grappling?
Right?
I don't think
just
anyone wants
pure
to.
wrestling.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. There's too many.
No, but
But adding submissions does help. Be able to guillotine or Kimura or something like that probably helps.
really does, right? Wagner's got that sick Kimura trap, man. Anytime anybody shoots in on him, he's straight on that Kimura trap, right?
Yeah, he's nasty with that.
Yeah. But there's a little bit of a back and forth in some of these comments here. Did you guys read anything?
There's
You
a
guys see any of that?
grudge brewing.
Apparently, we're talking a little bit about Gordon, of course. Gordon's involved, right?
Gordon and the other person usually involved in grudges and online feuds.
Cobrinha.
No, it's
not
actually
Cobrinha, not Cobrinha.
it's AJ Agazarm, believe it or not. Yeah, of course. Gordon and AJ beefing in the Instagram comments on those posts. Do you want to just summarize briefly what the topic was right there?
I mean, they went all over the place, but it's definitely centered
Do we
around
have enough time to
centered around wrestling and how AJ thinks that Gordon can't hack it and that Gordon makes excuses. AJ was definitely on the attack, I would say, but Gordon was throwing it right back.
It seems like it's like man, there's just this weird division in jiu-jitsu, right? And it's like this side says, hey, your accomplishments don't mean anything, and this side says, hey, your accomplishments don't mean anything. So that seems like a little bit of what it was, them kind of barking back and forth saying that, hey, what you've done doesn't matter.
Yeah. And the other guy says, well, I counter that with what you've done. Yeah. In fact, does not matter, sir.
But they went back and forth quite a bit. I was surprised to see how much they did go back and forth. Obviously, these guys have a little bit of a history as well. So
a little bit.
They don't like each other.
Man, I would urge all of our listeners to go to the Instagram and to read through this 300-something comments on that post and just to look for the back and forth between AJ and Gordon, because
they took some time on that.
they invested in that conversation. I mean, it's hilarious, from calling people, from making jokes about height to calling each other looking fat. And then, like
highbrow discussion,
and then jumping in on actual like analyses of their techniques and stuff. It's fantastic. But
making things interesting, stirring things out.
The one thing though that I gotta say, I'm gonna make history here, and I'm gonna agree with AJ again. Right?
This is two in a row,
believe it or not. But one thing that he does say is pretty cool, is that people do like to rag on AJ, and people like to say that he doesn't have any accomplishments in the sport, and that's not true. The guy's won a bunch, and he's a black belt no-gi world champion, and that is a legit fact. You can't take away the fact from that guy as what he's done. And people say it's not legit and stuff, but then he throws back at Gordon. He says, well, how come you've been claiming, on your resume that you're a brown belt no-gi world champion for the last couple of years? It's like, you can't knock AJ for that. Like, he goes out there, he wins, he loses. His win ratio is probably somewhere around, 50-50 or thereabouts. But guy, he's been out there, right? He's
for
got
sure.
his
I mean, you can't knock a gold medal at no-gi world championships.
Yeah.
That's a very difficult
or a silver
thing.
medal at ADCC.
And silver. Obviously, like silver's hard to brag about sometimes, but I certainly would if I got a silver medal at ADCC. So
because Gordon has also got a pretty long list of credentials, and I think people they remember the most recent thing, don't they? So that ADCC gold medal is like, oh yeah,
They're both kind of victims of the same thing a lot of times, right? A lot of people really try to legitimize Gordon's accomplishments, and they do the same thing to AJ. So they're fighting a little bit of the same battle, I think, or maybe they're on the same team. They don't quite know it, but
that'd be a great buddy cop movie. But I don't know.
AJ and Gordon
take on the town.
That would be hilarious. So okay, well, it's around about that time of the week again, and I think we want to go through the sweep and submit.
Oh yeah,
I didn't even know the topic. What are we going to talk
Chase,
about?
have you actually done any sweep or submits
I've done.
yet?
Have you ever swept or submitted?
Have I? This guy.
Yeah. All right then. So I'm going to go for it. First of all, sweep or submit. Guard pulling. Sweep or submit.
I'm going to submit because I have to use it. I don't want to be a hypocrite.
Okay.
That's the end of that. Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, I have to use it too, but I'm gonna sweep because I'm steadfast in the wrestling corner this week. So
yeah, team wrestling over there
this week.
So
you'll be sitting down soon enough. Don't worry.
I'm gonna sweep. I'm gonna sweep guard pulling as well. Because make jiu-jitsu
ever started from the feet?
Yes, okay. Absolutely. Make jiu-jitsu great again. I want to see takedowns, throws. I want to see the whole deal, man. I want to see people throwing each other on their heads like Tim Spriggs does. I want to see Urbeth.
I want to see more of that too.
I want to see Urbeth style bouncing heads off the mat with. I want to see Muhammad Ali throwing people through the air. Yeah, so
sign me up.
Sweep guard pulling out of here. Private lessons in jiu-jitsu. Sweep or submit? You guys ever done one?
I've never done a private lesson. I don't
really.
Think.
That's weird. I recall a video of my private lesson.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean that was just a couple weeks ago. So that was my first private lesson a couple weeks ago with Shanji. Yep, and it was a fantastic private lesson. I will submit private lessons because I think they're great.
I'm going to submit as well. I haven't done many, but they've been valuable, and I think people maybe overdo it, but once in a while, man, that could be a game changer.
Yeah, no, I think that like sometimes you see a technique or whatever, but everything's just a little different for you, right? For you and for me, everything's just slightly different. Maybe you like a collar grab here, maybe I like to go to the hip or something like that.
My technique's just a bit better.
Exactly. So in those situations, in those private lessons, you can really break it down to the details and say, hey, hey, but what I like to do when I'm here is this wrong, or is this maybe something a little different that I do? And I think that it's just more personalized, so it's cool.
Yeah, I'm totally on that as well, man. I think private lessons are amazing. I've not done many, like, in my entire jiu-jitsu career, but I've done some really good ones. I did one with John Danaher. That was obviously incredible. I wrote about that for the site as well. I'll post that in the links. And I did one as well with Paul Schreiner, who's one of the head coaches of Marcelo Garcia's. Mind blown in both of those. So I'm definitely submitting private lessons.
We had our co-private lesson with Caio Terra back in Brazil last year, and that was phenomenal.
Shout out to Caio, that was amazing.
Pure technician. I mean, it was incredible, the level of detail. We spent an hour or more on one position doing one, like just a Z-guard, more or less. I don't know if that's what he called it, but
knee shield, Z-guard.
Knee shield, Z-guard, and it was hip clamp.
Yeah,
that was the specific technique, and it was so tight. It was unbelievable because looking at it, watching him do it, I didn't learn anything. I had to feel it. I was like, oh my God, that's insane. Like, what are you doing? And I still can't even do it right, but it was the truth. It let me know that there exists a way to shift your hips, to, I don't know, torque your hips a little bit or whatever he's doing. That's impeccable. Perfect. So definitely submit private lessons.
Submit the private lessons. All right, then, flipping it around. Seminars, sweep or submit?
100% submit.
Yeah.
Had a blast at Royal Camp most recently, and
thing is, my question is though, were those really seminars? Because when watching those, it was like 30 guys in a room, like a training session, just led by different guys. For me, that didn't feel like the seminar.
True. So we mentioned that earlier. We were talking about it. I will say the Meregali portion of the camp was definitely more of a traditional seminar, 3 hours long. Mm-hmm. He did roll at the end. It was quick rounds though. It was like 3-minute rounds, and he rolled with 5 people. So. I would say seminars that have a heavy emphasis on rolling or drilling, yes, submit. But I don't know. I've been to some where I just watch, and that's kind of sad. I feel like I don't learn that much because I'm a very physical learner. I have to do something. I have to try it. And if I just watch it and leave, that just makes me sad. So.
Yep. Feel you.
Yeah, I do think that not all seminars are created equal, right? So like you got to pick and choose, right? And sometimes you might choose wrong, but you do. I don't know. It depends. I'm gonna sweep seminars, but I have been to some good ones as well. But I'm gonna don't need them.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence about them as well. You know, because like I went to some way back in the day that really helped my jiu-jitsu at that period in time, and there was some stuff that I learned that was helped me, like, and I used for years. And then on the other hand, I've been to some seminars, so I don't remember a single thing other than being in the room with that person. And I think that seminars, like you say, they're not created equal. Some are actually really beneficial for your game. Some is just a guy turning up and, hey, let's get onto the Q&A portion and do some photos and then let's get out of here. No rolling, no feedback. So, I'm going to, at this point, I like seminars when they're done well, but I haven't been to one for a while, so sweep it out of here for the moment.
Last week I did a seminar with Roberto Jimenez, and that was pretty. That was a good one. That was a sweet one.
Nice.
Because he's shown the techniques that he used to win the world championships. So those work.
There you go.
Those are good ones to have. Yeah.
Crazy colored gis. We've never talked about these.
Sweep them out of here.
Well, let's like
swim out of here. Me too. Next question.
Traditional gi colors that are permitted are generally white, blue, and some schools black. So what do you think about anything other than those? Crazy colored gis.
Navy's beautiful. I'm going to include navy. Nothing else matters.
Navy's blue.
Navy. Well, it was not traditionally allowed until recently, though. Until recently.
That is true. Royal blue.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I don't understand the crazy gi colors.
Take your yellow gi and get out.
Have you ever owned a non-traditional colored gi?
No, definitely not. No. I don't even know where
I
you
do
where
rotate
you buy
my
them.
gis based on belt. I never wore any blue gis or navy gis when I was a blue belt because I didn't like the way it blended in. But now that I'm purple, I wear more blue gis.
This guy.
Well, we're talking
making
about,
sure he looks fresh.
I have to.
On the mats.
Man, for a couple of years, I didn't even wear white gis. I only wore blue or black.
Were you a white belt that wore a black gi?
No, this is while I was a black belt.
I only like white gis, really. Like
really?
Deep down, I only want a white gi.
I just couldn't keep them clean. Like
Yeah.
so, I was like, I don't want it.
Enemies.
But I'm gonna sweep color geese as well because
Crazy color geese.
crazy color geese because I think they look awful, and I think that that you turn up and you're wearing an orange gi or a
Purple or
yellow,
pink or gi or something.
you look like a clown. So
The only person
You
that
look
can
like
wear
a
a red gi is Cyborg. Cyborg somehow makes that work. I've seen him in a
yeah.
red gi. I'm like, okay, that's allowed, but no one else.
I'll admit, I bought a crazy color gi once.
Whoa.
Once
What
I was
color?
a purple belt. It was green. It was olive
make-
green.
Okay,
It was like
green.
almost like a military shade of green.
Okay.
And I wore it once, and then I sold it
I was
to
thinking
somebody in my
I was thinking
club.
it was like a lime green. I was thinking of you walking around with like a lime green.
Flow green. Yeah, no.
That's not a combo I want to see.
But I feel bad about it because like I wore it once and then I came home with it and I didn't like it and I sold it to somebody in the club and then he wore it and everybody laughed at him.
including you.
I was like, you paid me to look like a fool. There you go. So, oh well. On that bombshell, I think.
That's it.
That's it for this episode of A Fistful of Collars. Guys, it's been a pleasure. We will be here again next week. See you then.